The Fellowship of Guelphissauga continues with a game of What's That Smell? And the mare's strings getting pulled. From faraway lands, a burning smell engulfed the Shire and neighbouring towns this week, so a nationwide game of What's That Smell began. But the stench didn't stop everyone from enjoying the Multicultural Fair this weekend and dreaming of the new library. Meanwhile, the mayor and his Dubious Business Associates hatched a plan to address the Shire's housing cost crisis. Can someone find the source of the smell, and will the mayor do anything about the Shire's housing crisis? Carly of Classen took a break this long weekend to relax in comfort on her new couch. She did the best she could to clean it of that old mare smell by emptying a bottle of Febreze onto it before she settled in for a Netflix binge. Swimming in the scent of purple lavender, Carly eventually fell asleep in comfort. 2 hours later, the boom boom of the next Netflix episode woke her up from her dreams of the new library, and that's when she caught wind of a bad smell. Thinking it was the couch, she got up and flipped the cushions around to check for the source. But it wasn't the couch. Carly went outside to investigate and noticed the smell got worse. Like last time the bad smell spread across the Shire, Carly of Classen decided to go downtown to find Sir Edward of Bench, since he's an expert in the Shire's historical stank. Carly of Classen arrived at the bench downtown to find a large crowd at Rachel's Saturday table. It was the weekend, so Sir Edward wasn't there, but Rachel and the banana guy were running the show by helping people deal with the smell and the hunger pains. People were already wearing Credita kitchen face masks to cover the smell with the scent of delicious curry, and even local high school students showed up to help with the bench. No one really knew what the smell was or where it was coming from, but a nationwide game of What That Smell had already started. Unfortunately, Rodrigo of Gawler couldn't play this time, since he's still lost and homeless from the last time he ran off chasing a scent. Everyone joined in on the game, including the Lord of the Liberals, the Big Blue Orc, and Mike of the Shriners. The burning smell was coming from the forest fires that were suddenly and mysteriously spreading across the nation. The Big Blue Orc started off the media blitz by taking selfies in firefighting gear. The Lord of the Liberals and his friends at CBC joined in by claiming that climate change was making the problem worse. But that was quickly debunked by Ross McKittrick in the 7th floor of the university's ivory tower. He, along with a geological professor at the University of Alabama, have shown in 2 separate studies that the number of forest fires has steadily decreased in the past decades as greenhouse gas emissions have increased, so forest fires must be associated with something else. Meanwhile, in Alberta, the RCMP Forestry Crimes Unit has charged a woman with 32 counts of arson following an in-depth investigation into a series of suspicious wildfires across the Bonnyville and Lac La Biche areas. Back at the Council of Elders chambers, the mayor's strings were getting pulled from the housing cost crisis. Last month, the Elder Els pushed his buttons and forced the mayor to poke the province in the eye with a protest letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. He didn't get a direct reply from the minister, but his orcish friends at the Guelph Chamber of Commerce did write back. 9 business suits signed their names on a letter addressing possible remedies to the housing crisis and the blame game. The corporations behind the GCC are those familiar with perpetuating the housing crisis, such as Skyline, Fusion Homes, and Tricar Developments. They proposed a 4-point call to action for solving the crisis by producing more homes at an unprecedented level. The first suggestion in the letter was to appoint a housing commissioner in the Shire to be publicly accountable for the crisis and results. Like most people who are to blame, the property developers wanted to shift attention away from the blame game and instead focus on accelerating new housing projects to build back better with their selected housing commissioner. Their second point was to ensure that emergency housing infrastructure is in place this fall for when the student housing games arrive in September. They also want the Council of Elders to work with the university's Fat Cats to increase affordable housing units for the students. The university already has plans to house their 400-plus excess resident students in nearby hotels, charging them over $1,500 per room, even though this is not considered affordable according to the standard income approach of affordability. They believe this will help reduce the cost of housing. The mayor replied to the letter on the same day on Twitter after he finished depositing the cash he made at his garage sale. He didn't want to walk around the Shire with a pile of cash in hand for fear of it being stolen like the $4,000 eviction payments at 90 Carden Street. The mayor replied to the letter with a video covering the housing cost crisis and future discussions for accountability. He acted surprised by the news of the housing crisis and reviewed the recent statistics on average rental prices in the Shire. According to the report, this month's average cost of a single-bedroom rental in the Shire was $2,300 per month, which represents a 62% increase over the past 4 years. Applying the income-based approach for affordability, anyone making less than $80,000 per year can no longer afford to live here. Over the last year, the average rental unit increased 27%. The mayor was smart enough to see that we are going to be hit with a crisis moment in the next couple of months, alluding to the incoming student housing games this fall. "I can't sit around and hope for the best," said the mayor, since he sold his spare couch to Carly of Classen. The mayor is planning for a special emergency meeting over the next month to talk to the Sunshine Listers and others to address the housing cost crisis. But he is going to have difficulties hearing solutions since the corporation of the Shire is considering limiting public comments to 5 minutes in meetings, and his staff are hiding comments on Twitter. The Council of Elders has been working on the master plan for the Shire for several years, but the mayor and the property developers are ignoring it. Can the Council of Elders clear the air, and will the mayor fix the Shire's housing cost crisis? Stay tuned here to see.